Wait. He grabbed my hand as I was leaving the restaurant. You are alone on Thanksgiving? Before I could speak, he pulled me to his table. Sit down, you are eating with me. I should have said no. I should have walked away. But something in his eyes, it wasn't a request, it was a command. And when I looked around his table, his entire family, staring at me like I didn't belong. That's when his mother spoke. Who is this? He didn't even look at her. He just said 3 words that changed everything. She's with me. My name is Lily Rose Bennett, and I'd been working double shifts at Marco's Italian restaurant for 3 months straight. Thanksgiving evening was supposed to be my night off, but when Sarah called in sick, I couldn't say no to the extra pay. I needed every dollar I could get. The restaurant was beautiful that night, all warm amber lighting and the smell of roasted turkey and sage. Families laughed together at tables draped in burgundy linens. Children ran between their parents' chairs while grandparents smiled indulgently. Everyone belonged to someone, except me. I'd moved to the city 6 months ago with nothing but 2 suitcases and a dream of starting over. My parents were gone, had been since I was 19. No siblings, no extended family who cared enough to call. Just me, my studio apartment with the broken heater, and the soft pink cardigan I'd knitted myself because I couldn't afford a proper winter coat. When my shift ended at 9, the manager handed me a to-go container. Turkey dinner, he said, gruffly. Can't have you going home hungry on Thanksgiving. I'd taken it with trembling hands and tears in my eyes, mumbled my thanks and headed for the door. That's when I felt it, that prickling awareness that someone was watching me. I glanced back and met the most intense pair of grey eyes I'd ever seen. He was sitting at the largest table in the restaurant, surrounded by at least 15 people. But he wasn't looking at any of them. He was looking at me. And then he moved. Wait. His hand wrapped around my wrist before I didn't realize it crossed the room. His touch was warm, firm, gentle, despite the command in his voice. You're alone on Thanksgiving? I opened my mouth to respond, to make some excuse, to tell him I was fine, but he was already pulling me back toward his table. Sit down, you are eating with me. The to-go container slipped from my fingers. He caught it with his free hand, without even looking, his eyes never leaving my face. Up close, he was devastating, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a blank dress shirt rolled up to his forearms, dark hair slightly tousled, and a jaw that could cut glass. And those eyes, stone grey and absolutely unrelenting. I shouldn't, he said simply, and guided me to an empty chair beside his own. The table went silent. Every single person was staring at me. An older woman with perfectly coiffed silver hair and cold eyes, a younger woman who looked like a model, several men in expensive suits, and a handful of children who seemed confused by the sudden interruption. The silver-haired woman, clearly the matriarch, set down her wine glass with deliberate precision. Who is this? The man beside me didn't even glance at her. He pulled out my chair, waited for me to sit, and then settled into his own. When he spoke, his voice was calm but carried an edge that made everyone at the table straighten. She's with me. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Luca, she said, her voice drooping with ice. This is a family dinner. Exactly, Luca replied, reaching for the bottle of wine. He poured a glass and set it in front of me. You like cranberry sauce? I nodded mutely, completely overwhelmed. Good. My mother makes the best cranberry sauce you'll ever taste, even if she's glaring at me like she wants to poison my wine. He said this loud enough for Victoria to hear. A couple of the younger men snickered. Thomas laughed outright. Victoria's lips pressed into a thin line, but she said nothing more. Dinner was surreal. Luca kept a steady stream of conversation going, asking me about my life, my job, what brought me to the city. I found myself relaxing despite the tension, drawn in by his genuine interest. He listened to every word like I was telling him state secrets, his full attention focused on me, even as the family dinner swirled around us. The little girl who'd asked if I was Luca's girlfriend, Sophia, I learned, kept making excuses to come to our end of the table. She would show me her drawings, ask me questions about my favorite color and whether I liked puppies. Luca watched this with something soft in his eyes. Sophia is my niece, he explained. Marco's daughter. She's been asking for an aunt. I have 2 aunts already, she corrected, pointing at Veronica and another woman down the table. But they are boring. You're pretty and you smell like cookies. I couldn't help but laugh. That's probably the vanilla perfume I wear. It's the only one I can afford, and I've always loved how it smells like baking. I love it, she declared. You should come to all the family dinners. We'll see, Piccola, Luca said gently, ruffling her hair. As the evening wore on, I noticed things. The way people approached Luca for quiet conversations. How even his mother, as cold as she'd been to me, deferred to him on certain matters. The respect, or was it fear, in the eyes of some of the men at the table. During dessert, a man in a dark suit approached and bent to whisper in Luca's ear. Luca's expression didn't change, but I felt him tense beside me. "Excuse me for one moment," he said, pressing a kiss to my temple that felt shockingly intimate. "Don't let anyone bully you while I'm gone." He was gone for maybe 5 minutes. In that time, Veronica slid into his empty chair. "You seem sweet," he said, studying me with eyes as sharp as her brother's. "Too sweet for this family." "I'm tougher than I look," I said, quietly, meeting her gaze. She smiled then, a real smile. "I believe you. Luca doesn't bring women to family dinners, ever. And he definitely doesn't introduce them as his girlfriend. So whatever this is, it's serious to him. I hope you are ready for what that means." "I don't even know what this is," I admitted. "Neither does he, I suspect. But my brother doesn't do anything halfway." She patted my hand. "Be careful with your heart, Lily, and be careful with his. He acts like he's made of stone, but he's not." When Luca returned, his jaw was tight. He reclaimed his seat and immediately reached for my hand again, as if he needed to touch me to ground himself. "Everything okay?" I asked softly. "It is now," he said, and the tension in his shoulders eased. By the time dinner ended, it was nearly midnight. Families began gathering their things, bundling children into coats. Veronica hadn't spoken to me again, but I'd caught her watching Luca and me more than once, her expression unreadable. "Come on," Luca said, helping me with my cardigan. His fingers brushed the soft knit, and something passed across his face. "I'm taking you home." "I can take the bus." "Luca," just my name, but the finality in his tone stopped my protest. Outside, a sleek black car waited at the curb. The driver opened the back door, and Luca guided me inside with a hand at the small of my back. The interior smelled like leather and expensive cologne. "Where do you live?" he asked. I gave him my address, embarrassed by the neighborhood. It's not a great area." His jaw tightened. "How long have you been living there?" 6 months. "And before that?" "A small town in Pennsylvania. After my parents died, I needed to leave, start somewhere new." He was quiet for a long moment, studying me in the dim light of the car. "You are alone in the city. No family, no support system." It wasn't a question, but I nodded anyway. "Not anymore," he said firmly. "You have me now." My breath caught. "Luca, you don't even know me." "I know enough." His thumb traced circles on my palm. "I know you are kind enough to work on Thanksgiving so someone else could have the day off. I know you wear a cardigan you knitted yourself because you can't afford a proper coat. I know you tear up when someone shows you basic kindness, which means you haven't had nearly enough of it in your life. And I know," his voice dropped, rough and honest, "I know that the second I saw you standing there alone with that sad little to-go container, something in my chest cracked open, and I decided right then, you are mine to protect now." Tears burned in my eyes. "Why?" "Because everyone deserves to belong to someone, Lily, and I am someone who takes care of what's mine." When we pulled up to my building, a run-down apartment complex in a neighborhood where I definitely didn't feel safe walking alone at night, Luca's expression darkened. "You are not staying here." "I don't really have a choice." "Luca, you are coming home with me." He was already texting someone on his phone. "We'll pack your things tomorrow. Tonight, you are staying at my place." "Luca, that's..." He looked up at me.
and the intensity in his gaze stole my breath. I'm not letting you stay in this building another night. I'm not letting you spend another holiday alone. I'm not letting you struggle anymore when I have the means to help. You can fight me on this if you want, but I promise you, I will win. There was something in his voice, in his eyes, that told me it wasn't about control. It was about care, bone deep, fierce, and uncompromising. I barely know you, but it felt like a lie. It felt like I'd known him forever. Then get to know me. His hand cupped my cheek, some brushing away a tear that I hadn't realized had fallen. I'm not going anywhere, Lily, and neither are you, not without me. Something broke open inside me then. All the loneliness and fear and exhaustion of trying to survive on my own. I nodded, barely able to see him through my tears. Okay. Luca's apartment was a penthouse in the most expensive part of the city. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked glittering lights. Everything was sleek and modern and probably cost more than I could make in 5 years. Guest room is through there, he said, pointing down the hallway. Bathroom fully stocked. I'll have someone bring proper clothes for you tomorrow. You don't have to. Luca. He stepped closer, backing me gently against the kitchen island. He wasn't crowding me, wasn't trying to intimidate, just grounding me. His hands settled on my waist, thumbs rubbing small circles that made me shiver. What do you do, Luca? I asked quietly. What kind of business are you in? His expression shortened a little. Import and export. My family has been in the business for generations. That's not the whole truth. No, he admitted, it's not. But it's all I can tell you right now. I need you to trust me. Can you do that? I should have been afraid. Any rational person would be. But standing there in his arms, feeling safer than I had in years, I found myself nodding. Yes. He exhaled like I'd given him something precious. Then he pressed a kiss to my forehead, soft and lingering. Get some sleep, sweet girl. Tomorrow, we'll figure everything else out. I did sleep, better than I had in months, wrapped in sheets that smelled like him. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee. I padded out to the kitchen in the oversized t-shirt Luca had left for me to sleep in, and found him at the stove, making breakfast.
It looked different in the morning light, softer somehow, wearing jeans and a plain white t-shirt that stretched across his shoulders. Domestic, normal. Morning, he said, sliding a plate of pancakes across the counter. Hope you like blueberries. You cook. I'm a man of many talents. There was a teasing glint in his eye. Over breakfast, his phone rang constantly. Each time, he'd glance at the screen and silenced it. Finally, I asked, "Don't you need to get that?" "Nothing is more important than this," he said simply. "Than breakfast? Than you." My heart did something complicated in my chest. After we ate, he drove me to my apartment to pack. Marco and Vincent came along for heavy lifting, Luca said, though I suspected it was more about security. They were kind to me, joking around and treating me like I'd always been part of the family. "Fair warning," Marco said as we hauled boxes to the car. "Luca has never brought a woman into his life like this. Which means you're not just important to him, you're everything. That makes you family, and we protect family." Vincent nodded seriously. "If you ever need anything, and I mean anything, you call us. Doesn't matter if Luca is available or not. You call, we come. That's the deal." I blinked back tears. "Thank you." "Don't thank us yet," Vincent grinned. "You're stuck with us now. We're annoying." By the afternoon, my entire life was packed into Luca's car. It was humbling, really, how little I had. But Luca never made me feel small for it. Instead, he kept making plans. "We'll go shopping this week. get you proper winter clothes or whatever else you need. And I want you to think about whether you want to keep working at the restaurant or if you want to do something else. You mentioned you liked baking when Sophia asked about your perfume. Is that something you'd want to pursue? I've always dreamed of opening a small bakery, but that's just a dream. It takes money and so we'll make it happen. I stopped walking. Luca, I can't let you. He turned to me right there on the street and pulled me close. Listen to me. I have more money than I know what to do with. Let me invest in your dream, not as charity, but as a partnership. You bake, I'll handle the business side. We'll do it together. Why are you doing all this? His hand cupped my face, tilting my chin up, so I had to meet his eyes. Because when I saw you alone on Thanksgiving, something clicked into place. Like I'd been walking around with a piece missing and suddenly found it. You're mine to protect, mine to care for, mine to love. And I take that responsibility seriously. Love? I whispered. I know it's fast, I know it's crazy, but yes, Lily, I'm falling in love with you. I've been since the moment you looked at me with those big eyes and tried to tell me you were fine when you were clearly falling apart. I surged up onto my tiptoes and kissed him. He responded immediately, one hand binding around my waist to pull me flush against him, while his other hand tangled in my hair. The kiss was fierce and gentle all at once, full of promise and possessiveness and something that felt terrifyingly like forever. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to mine. Come home with me, he murmured. Not just for today, for good. Move in with me. Let me take care of you the way you deserve. I'm scared, I admitted. He's scared too, but I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. I nodded against him. Okay, yes, take me home. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Luca was true to his word about everything. He helped me find a commercial space for a bakery, connected me with contractors, set up business accounts. He bought me a winter wardrobe that made me feel like a princess. He cooked dinner with me every night, held me when I had nightmares, made love to me like I was something precious and rare. Living with him, I learnt more about his business. Import and export was true enough, but there was a darker side. Protection services, security consulting, occasionally less than legal acquisitions. The Stone family had roots in organized crime that went back 3 generations, though Luca was working to legitimize most of the operations. This scare you? He asked one night as we lay tangled together in his bed. A little, I admitted, but not enough to leave. You're not a bad man, Luca. You're a good man in a complicated world. He held me tighter. I've done things I'm not proud of. Hurt people who threatened my family. Made decisions that haunt me. Have you ever hurt someone innocent? Never. That's my line. I protect what is mine and eliminate threats. But I don't harm civilians. Don't deal drugs. Don't traffic anything but legitimate goods. And the occasional grey market acquisition. I pressed a kiss to his chest, right over his heart. Then I'm not going anywhere. Good. Because I'd hunt you down if you tried to leave. I laughed softly. That should probably concern me more than it does. He agreed, rolling me under him.
But you like that I'm possessive. I like that you're protective, I corrected. There's a difference. Barely. He grinned and then kissed away any further argument. Victoria's tone remained coldly distant for those first few weeks. She attended Sunday family dinners, but barely acknowledged me. Veronica told me not to take it personally. Their mother had never approved of any woman in Luca's life, especially not one she saw as beneath their station. Everything changed the night of the Christmas party. The Stone family threw an annual holiday celebration that was part family gathering, part business networking. Luca wanted me by his side, so I'd worn a rose pink dress he'd bought me. Simple, but elegant, with a sweetheart neckline and flowing skirts that made me feel feminine and pretty. "You look beautiful, Lily," he murmured, pressing a kiss to my bare shoulder. "Like a princess. I feel like I'm playing dress up in someone else's life." "This is your life now, Lily. Better get used to it." The party was in full swing. Hundreds of guests, champagne flowing, a string quartet playing in the corner. Luca kept me close, his hand never leaving my waist as he introduced me to business associates and family friends. "This is Lily Bennett," he'd say proudly, "my girlfriend." Some people were warm, others coldly assessing. But no one was openly rude, not with Luca's hand possessively splayed across my lower back. I was getting a drink at the bar when I felt someone approach. A man, expensive suit, slicked back hair, eyes that made my skin crawl.
"You must be the waitress who's caught Lucas Stone's attention," he said, voice dripping with condescension. "Tell me, how much does he pay you to warm his bed?" I froze, the champagne flute trembling in my hand. "Because I could make a better offer. A pretty little thing like you could do much better than playing house with a criminal." Before I could respond, before I could even process the insult, a hand gripped the man's shoulder and spun him around. Luca, his face was carved from ice, eyes blazing with cold fury. "What did you just say to her?" The man paled. You just disrespected my woman, in my home, at my party." Luca's voice was deadly quiet. "You have exactly 10 seconds to apologize to her before I remove you from this building. And by remove, I mean I'll throw you off the balcony myself." "Luca, I didn't mean..." 5 seconds. The man turned to me, fear evident in his eyes. "I apologize, Miss Bennett. I was out of line." "You were," I said quietly, surprised by the steadiness of my own voice. "And for the record, I don't need anyone's money. I have my own dreams and my own ambitions. Luca supports me because he cares about me, not because he owns me. There's a difference, though I doubt you'd understand that." Luca's eyes gleamed with pride. "That's my girl." He jacked his head at Marco, who'd appeared at his shoulder. "Escort Mr. Donovan out. He's no longer welcome at Stone family events." As the man was led away, Luca pulled me into his arms. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, but you didn't have to." "Yes, I did." His hands framed my face. "No one talks to you that way, ever. I don't care who they are or what business we might lose. You are my priority, always." I melted into him, overwhelmed by the fierceness of his protection. It was Victoria who appeared next, champagne flute in hand and an unreadable expression on her face. "Walk with me," she said to me. It wasn't a request. Luca tensed, but I squeezed his hand. "It's okay." "I'll be right here," he promised, eyes locked on his mother. Victoria led me to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. For a long moment, she said nothing, just studied me with those sharp, assessing eyes. "My son is the most powerful man in this city," she finally said. He could have any woman he wants, models, socialites, heiresses, women who understand our world and their place in it. I lifted my chin. I understand that I don't come from your world, Mrs. Stone, but I love your son, and he seems to love me. I'm sorry if that's not good enough for you. She blinked, surprised by my directness. Then slowly, she smiled. A real smile, not the cold facade she usually wore. I didn't want to like you, she admitted. I thought you were after his money. I thought you'd be weak, easily manipulated. But you stood up to Donovan in there with grace and dignity. You didn't run to Luca for protection. You handled it yourself. And when my son looked at you, she paused, something soft entering her eyes. I haven't seen him look at anyone like that since his father was alive, like you are his whole world. Tears pricked my eyes. He is mine. Victoria reached out and took my hand, surprising us both. Then welcome to the family, Lily, officially. And I apologize for my coldness. I was protecting my son. But I see now, you are protecting him too. In different ways, but just as fiercely. I would die for him, I said simply. I know. And that's why you are good enough for him. Not despite your humble beginnings, but because of them. You know what's truly valuable in life. Family, loyalty, love. She looked out over the city. This world of ours, it can be dark, dangerous. Luca needs someone who brings light into his life. Someone who reminds him why he's working so hard to make the family legitimate. Someone who makes him want to be better. He already is the best man I know. Now I know you love him, Victoria said dryly. Only a woman in love could be that blind to a man's flaws. But her tone was warm, teasing even. Come, let's go back inside before my son storms out here thinking I've made you cry. As we walked back into the party, I saw Luca immediately. He was across the room, but his eyes tracked me like I was the only thing that mattered. When he saw me laughing with his mother, relief and joy transformed his face. He crossed to us in long strides and pulled me into his arms. Everything okay? Everything is perfect, Victoria said before I could answer. Lily and I were just getting to know each other. She's a remarkable young woman, Luca. Don't screw this up. I don't intend to, he said seriously. Victoria patted his cheek with surprising affection. Good, because if you do, I'll side with her in the divorce. She gets the penthouse. As she walked away, I burst out laughing. Did your mother just threaten you? She did, Luca said, grinning, which means she approves. She only threatens people she considers family. He spun me into his arms, swaying to the music. Dance with me. We moved together on the dance floor, and I felt like I was in a dream. 6 weeks ago, I'd been alone on Thanksgiving, with nothing but a to-go container and a broken heart. Now I was dancing in a penthouse with a man who looked at me like I hung the moon, surrounded by a family that had claimed me as one of their own. What are you thinking, Luca murmured? That I'm glad you grabbed my hand that night. That I'm glad I didn't walk away. I wouldn't have let you. His hand tightened at my waist. The moment I saw you, I knew. You are mine. I would have followed you anywhere, done anything to keep you. That should probably scare me. But it doesn't. No, I agreed softly. It makes me feel safe, cherished, like I finally belong somewhere. You belong with me. He pressed his forehead to mine, swaying us gently. Always. 3 months later, on a snowy February evening, Luca took me back to Marco's Italian restaurant, the place where we'd met. He'd rented out the entire restaurant, and it was decorated with thousands of white roses and candles. What is this? I breathed. This is me asking you properly. He led me to the table where his family had been sitting that first night, but now it was set for 2, intimate and romantic. We had dinner, the same Thanksgiving meal we'd shared that first night, and over dessert, Luca got down on one knee. Lily Rose Bennett, he said, pulling out a ring that sparkled with pink diamonds. 6 months ago, I grabbed your hand and told you you were coming home with me. I didn't ask, I commanded, because even then, I knew you are always meant to be mine. Tears streamed down my face.
But now, I'm asking, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life protecting you, caring for you, loving you? Will you be my family, my home, my everything? Yes, I sobbed. Yes, yes, yes. He slipped the ring on my finger and stood, pulling me into his arms and kissing me breathless. Around us, his entire family emerged from where they'd been hiding. Victoria, Marco, Vincent, Veronica, Sophia, Thomas, everyone. They cheered and clapped, surrounding us with love and celebration. Sophia threw her arms around my waist. "You're going to be my aunt for real." "I am," I laughed through my tears. Victoria hugged me next, whispering, "Thank you for bringing my son back to life." That night, back at home, our home, Luca made love to me slowly, reverently, with all the tenderness and passion in his fierce heart. "I love you," he murmured against my skin. "My Lily, my beautiful, strong, perfect wife-to-be." "I love you too," I whispered back. "My protector, my home." We were married that spring in a garden filled with pink roses. Sophia was the flower girl, tossing petals with enthusiastic abandon. Victoria cried, actually cried, during the ceremony. Luca's entire family was there, along with staff from both the restaurant where we met and my bakery, which had just opened to rave reviews. When Luca said, "I do," his voice was strong and sure. When I said the same, mine trembled with emotion. "You may kiss your bride," the officiant said. Luca pulled me into his arms and kissed me like he had that first night I agreed to move in with him. Fierce and gentle, possessive and tender, full of promise. "Mine," he murmured against my lips. "Yours, always yours." As we walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, I thought about that Thanksgiving evening when I had been so alone, so lost, when a powerful man had grabbed my hand and refused to let me face the holiday by myself. I thought I was just getting dinner that night. Instead, I'd found home, family, love. I'd found everything. And it all started with 3 simple words: "She's with me." But really, it was just the beginning.